In 1999, a cartoon about a sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea, works at a fast food restaurant, and is best friends with a starfish who may be the single least intelligent creature ever depicted on television, premiered on Nickelodeon. Nobody expected much. It was, on paper, a completely absurd premise. 25 years later, it is one of the most successful entertainment franchises in human history, worth over $13 billion, and has produced more internet memes than almost any other piece of media ever created. This is how that happened. Before there was SpongeBob, there was Stephen Hillenburg. And Stephen Hillenburg is genuinely one of the most interesting people to ever work in animation. Hillenburg was not a typical cartoon creator. He did not grow up dreaming of making animated television. He grew up obsessed with the ocean. He studied marine biology at Humboldt State University, graduated, and went on to work as a marine science educator at the Ocean Institute in California, creating educational materials that taught children about tide pools, ocean ecosystems, and marine life. He genuinely loved the ocean with the kind of intensity that most people reserve for sports teams or celebrity gossip. But alongside marine biology, Hillenburg had always harbored a deep love for art and animation. He eventually decided to pursue both simultaneously, enrolling at CalArts, the California Institute of the Arts, to study experimental animation, while bringing his marine biology background with him. The combination of those two passions, deep scientific knowledge of ocean life and a gift for visual storytelling, was the seed of everything that followed. While still at CalArts, Hillenburg created an early comic book called The Intertidal Zone, a collection of anthropomorphized sea creatures living and interacting in an ocean setting. The characters were not yet SpongeBob, but the world was already taking shape in his imagination. After graduating, Hillenburg joined the Nickelodeon animated series Rocko's Modern Life as a director and writer, getting his first real experience in professional animation. When Rocko ended in 1996, he took everything he had learned and sat down to develop his own show. He built a storyboard, he designed the characters, he wrote the concept, and then he walked into Nickelodeon with an actual aquarium, a physical tank of ocean water and sea creatures, to set the mood for his pitch. Nobody else pitching cartoons to television networks that year brought an aquarium. That tells you something about Hillenburg. Nickelodeon greenlit the show. It premiered on May 1st, 1999, immediately after the broadcast of the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, guaranteeing it one of the largest audiences a new Nickelodeon show had ever launched to. The timing was not accidental. The first season of SpongeBob SquarePants was, by almost universal critical consensus, something special. What made it work was a combination of factors that seemed contradictory on paper, but somehow clicked perfectly in practice. The humour operated on multiple levels simultaneously. Children laughed at the slapstick and the absurdity. Adults laughed at the dry wit, the surreal logic, and the surprisingly sophisticated comedic timing. The show never talked down to its audience. Young or old, it was genuinely consistently funny in a way that transcended age. The characters were immediately iconic. SpongeBob himself, optimistic to a fault, enthusiastic about everything, emotionally transparent in a way that was both endearing and slightly exhausting, was unlike any cartoon protagonist that had come before. Patrick was a masterpiece of comedic stupidity, somehow always confident, despite being catastrophically wrong about everything. Squidward was every frustrated adult who had ever felt underappreciated by the universe. The cast worked because every character was a recognizable human archetype, dressed in ocean creature clothing. The world of Bikini Bottom was also remarkably well constructed for a children's cartoon. It had internal logic, consistent geography, recurring locations, and a sense that life was continuing there, even when the camera was not watching. Hillenburg's marine biology background gave the show an authenticity in its ocean setting that most cartoons never bother with. By the end of its first season, SpongeBob was the highest-rated children's television program in the United States. By 2000, it was a full cultural phenomenon. The show's popularity through the early 2000s was extraordinary. Merchandise flew off shelves. The voice cast, Tom Kenny as SpongeBob, Bill Fagerbakke as Patrick, Roger Bumpass as Squidward, became beloved by an entire generation. The 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie was a genuine box office success. And then the internet happened. As the generation that grew up watching SpongeBob in the early 2000s came of age online, they brought the show with them. SpongeBob became one of the foundational languages of internet meme culture, a shared reference point for an entire global generation. Mocking SpongeBob, surprised Patrick, imaginative SpongeBob with the rainbow hands. Each one recognized instantly by hundreds of millions of people across dozens of countries and languages. Stephen Hillenburg passed away in November 2018 following a battle with ALS. He was 57 years old. The outpouring of grief from fans around the world was a testament to what he had quietly built. A marine biologist with an aquarium and a dream had created something that outlasted him, outlasted trends, and embedded itself permanently into global culture. 25 years later, the sponge is still going, and somehow, improbably, magnificently, he's still just trying to get to work on time. Thanks for watching. If this made you want to rewatch some early SpongeBob, we completely understand. Hit the like button, subscribe to Capsule, and we will see you in the next one.